here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I apologize this morning, and I thank you for your patience in Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora coming here to you. We appreciate you being in the Great Lakes Honda City studios, Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. They are open for sales and service Monday through Saturday, and you can get a sneak peek at everything Great Lakes Honda City has to offer by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. We're up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archive, and we have new episodes that have been added there this week. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Make sure to subscribe and follow and download on each of these apps, and it is all free for you to do so, and we appreciate it very much. So, with that being said, very happy to be here with you inside of MonPausPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', giving you the list of topics for the day. I will be sharing my special with Keeler, the Temple Owls head football coach, and we will be going multi-layers into the story of who Casey truly is and his thoughts on this team and everything inside of this 2025-26 season, as well as why he went there, what his visions are for the future, and more. A wonderful conversation with a coach that truly allows you behind the curtain. So excited to share that with you. And as you know, the College Football Playoff Committee came out with their first rankings of the 2025-26 season yesterday. I gave my immediate thoughts in a live broadcast on audio and video within the hour of those rankings coming out. Then I was a guest on the league winners and with Thomas Pasquarello and spoke with him about it. I'll be giving my thoughts this morning and sharing with you how you can go back and watch my entire breakdown. So make sure you pay attention to that. And of course, in the second half of today's show, as we always do on a Wednesday, the Fantasy Football Power Hour will be its own separate video and audio feed because of the fact that our fantasy football coverage is something that's truly a show within a show, and I want people to be able to get to it quickly when they need it throughout the week, so we do it as a separate video, separate audio feed. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will share with you very proudly our one-on-one conversation with KC Keeler, the Temple Owls head football coach, right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios in Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com right now to get their inventory and get that sneak peek. I am here picture in picture with Casey Keeler, the head coach of the Temple Owls football program, and we are speaking here during the 2025-26 season. We had the opportunity to talk going into the season, and now we are right around the midpoint of his first season here with the Temple Owls as their head coach. Casey, how you doing?
Dan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I feel like it was yesterday, and I also feel like it was like 10 months ago that we sat in Charlotte.
It's funny how the football season does that. Like, again, it seemed like we were just talking at down in Charlotte, a couple days ago, and here we're halfway through a season, and a lot has happened in the last number of months here.
Yeah, when we take a look at this season so far, I mean, the win-loss column, I've done this long enough, you've done this long enough to know that if people are truly paying attention, it goes beyond the win-loss column. So at this midpoint area of the season, beyond wins and losses, what have you seen developmentally from this Temple team from day one to day right now, as far as how they've emerged from certain things, grown from certain adversities, and just where those positives are?
Yeah, so when we got here, we didn't throw a hand grenade into the locker room. Not my style. A lot of these kids came here to get Temple degrees. I actually still believe that's an important part of, this process. And so we kept a lot of the guys that, wanted to stay. And then added some selected, transfers and those kind of things. And, it was really a matter of them buying in. And we've gotten really close over the last 10, 11 months or so. And I've been really proud to see the progress we've made from day one to now. This is a program that hasn't won more than 3 games the last 5 seasons. And so when I walk in and talk about getting to a bowl game, winning a bowl game, getting to the conference championship game, winning the conference championship game, all those kind of things. I think maybe, some of the people from the outside might have been like, I'm not sure why you put that pressure on yourself, where the people on the inside know that they need that motivation to know that we're not talking about being good 3 or 4 years from now. We're talking about doing this right now. Yeah. And so I think they bought in, and I think, we've progressively gotten better. And so we're sitting here 5-3 with 1 loss in the conference, and in position where we still control our own destiny. But we have some really tough teams coming up.
Yeah, and you spoke about, like you said, coming in here and having a vision of positivity that some people from the outside looking in might not understand. But you obviously don't come into a program for them to lose or for them to suffer. You come in for them to elevate themselves, and we've seen successes. We saw what Al Golden did when they were a part of the MAC, getting to records of 8-4 and 9-4 on multiple occasions, and then going into and then Steve Adazio obviously had them at 9-4 their last season in the MAC, and then we saw the success of Matt Rule getting a team to 10-4 in back-to-back seasons, and then
Jeff Collins having winning records, and then Rod Carey came in, and obviously there were some struggling moments outside of the 8-5 season, and Stan Drayton, like you said, looking at 3-9 seasons. But it's not atypical that within the last couple of decades we have seen this be an 8, 9, 10 win team.
Sure.
So,
yes.
I mean,
and I agree, and that's one of the things that I explained to everybody. There's been greatness here.
Yeah.
I mean, a decade ago, we're playing Penn State, beat them. We have Notre Dame on the schedule later in the season. We're both nationally ranked. Game day comes, sold out crowd. Probably should have beaten Notre Dame that day. So yeah, like I said, greatness has been in this program. 198 NFL alums, 81 draft choices, 4 first-round picks, a Heisman Trophy runner-up. So all those things, like I knew those things. And so when I came back here, I felt like we can get this going again. And I think a big part of us getting this going is, the recruiting process and us getting back to the Connecticut down to Virginia out to Ohio footprint. Not that we're not going to take some guys from North Carolina or California or Florida or Georgia, but the base is going to be from that area. And if you look back when they were great, that's where the base was from. Yeah. And especially with the portal now, you want to make sure that you have as many local kids as possible, because that eliminates one of the reasons why they want to go in the portal. One of the reasons why they want to go to the portal a lot of times is I like to get closer to home. Well, we got you closer to home now. So I think we have a good approach, and the kids have bought in, and it's going, I think it's going well.
Yeah, and when we talk about that success and the success that has come with this team, we've also seen the fact that, and you and I talked about this a little bit, but there's been so many coaching changes, right? Al Golden got good, things started working out, he moved on. Steve Adazio, the Boston College job opened up, he moved on. Matt Rule, we've seen him go from Temple to Baylor to the Carolina Panthers, now to Nebraska. Jeff Collins went down to Georgia Tech for a time. So we have seen these moments happen where when success finally does click, Temple seems to, have this switching of the coaches. And so for you, I know you and I spoke about you're not just going there for a spell, you actually see a long runway, and I'd love for you to go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, so I have 3 grandchildren in Wilmington, Delaware, and my daughter and son-in-law are there. And, you only can FaceTime so much with the grandkids. Yeah. Then it's like, hey, and then they're off. So the fact that we could come back home was a big deal. And so we built a house. This is home. Any move that's going to take place at Temple football is going to go through Janice Keeler. Because my wife of 40 years is really excited to be back, near family and in the region again. So, again, I think Temple gave me a great opportunity. I think this is a great job. I don't think a lot of people saw it that way. I see it that way. And I think we can get this place back to the greatness it once had. So, yeah, I mean, this is a perfect spot for me.
And when we go back to that history, like you said, coming back to the region, back in 86 to 92, Rowan assistant coach, then the head coach from 93 to 2001. Then we saw you in Delaware for over a decade, from 2002 to 2012, before you went down to Sam Houston State to become the head coach. I want to go back to that time in Delaware, because you keep talking about coming back to the region. You found success with the Blue Hens. You did some good things there. We've seen them now as an FBS school, so they've risen up the ranks, and I believe that you and your staff of history is a part of giving them that portfolio and that exposure. So when you were in the Northeast at the time, what was it that really spoke to you that made you want to come back?
Well, first of all, I was never going to leave Delaware. That was a contract issue. Had some people in the administration above me that didn't like the contract that we signed. It was a 10-year deal. Kind of funny. I signed it. They signed it. They didn't like it. I don't know how that works. But I was, dead man walking there for my last couple of years there. And it's a shame because I love that place. I bleed blue and gold. I am a Blue Hen inside and out. And, I took a year off and really did a lot of introspective thinking, and also got a chance to work at NFL Films with Ron Jaworski and Merle Hodge and Sal Palantonio and Greg Cosell. And then I worked for ESPN, as a commentator. And I thought I learned so much from that experience. But what I also learned, too, was I miss being around the players. I mean, I call my kids. I just missed that interaction. And, it wasn't long when, my wife would travel to every game with me. And I remember the very first game. We're doing a Connecticut Towson for ESPN. And Towson wins. And we're all done, and she's in the press box with me, and we're walking out, and she goes, "Do you miss it?" And I look down, and Ambrose is there with his team celebrating. I'm like, I miss that. I really do. And then I look over, and the head coach from UConn, Coach Pascalone's there, and I say, but I don't miss that. I don't miss those tough losses. But the bottom line was I really missed, being around the kids. And I was really blessed that, Sam Houston gave me a chance to come in and, be part of, what, Willie Fritz had just left. And then, we took it to, new heights. But we always wanted to see if we could get back here. And when that Temple job opened, I remember we were out to dinner. We had a Friday night game against Liberty, beat them. We were out to dinner Saturday, it's her birthday. And Dan, she cried for an hour. I mean, after I told her, hey, we're going back home. And I'm like, we're out to dinner, it's her birthday, in a beautiful restaurant. And I'm like, I know why you're crying, but no one else around here knows why you're crying. But it's just, again, this is, families back here. And again, to be near the grandkids again, just awesome. And my daughter is awesome.
It's funny when you say those moments because you've been a very real person. And I love finding that, and I yearn for that in every conversation I have because you and I live in a relationship-based world, but a lot of people have become transactional. And when you talked about your wife crying, I felt two tears. I had a tear at each eye because, I mean, there's that genuineness to you, and your reputation, to your credit, Casey, preceded you. Because I had people talking with me about how great you are and how available, and it's just, you don't approach this like, oh, I'm a big ego, I'm this big time head coach, this and that. It's just, you approach things in a way that's very real, very human, and very timeless. And I want to give you credit for that because that's going to go beyond your win-loss column.
Well, I appreciate it. And how I treat our players, and I call them my kids, I treat them like my own son. I treat them like my own daughter. Like, how would I want them to be treated? Now, I was hard on them. I mean, very demanding on them. And so was my wife. I mean, we were, I would say strict parents, but there was a bottom line but I'm the same way with my players, but they know there's love there. They know I care about them more than just, playing this football game. And them getting their degrees and them having a chance to go on in life and be successful, those things are really important to me. So I think they saw that. I think the players saw that when I came in, that I was very genuine. I wanted to be involved with them. I wanted to have relationships. I would say that if this is just a business transaction, your ceiling is only so high. But if you really care about each other, well, you can take this to new heights. Same thing when things aren't going your way. When things aren't going your way, you can survive those rocky times if there's relationships. You can't survive those rocky times if there's no relationship. So it's how I coach. It's how I've always done it. It's who I am as a person, and it's worked for me because I think it's always important to be genuine to who you are.
Yeah, and that genuineness that you carry when you are building those relationships, when you are recruiting, when you're talking with the players that are on your team, speaking with your staff, how have you seen that environment kind of react to the type of human being that you are? Tough love, but still love, real, genuine, relationship-based. Hey, yeah, if you don't complete a pass when you should have, we might have a conversation, but it's going to be love from me, not I hate you, go sit on the bench. It's going to be, hey, how can we get this better? So how has the environment of Temple reacted to you?
Yeah, I think we had a very interesting situation. I think, the art form of being a head football coach is to react to your environment and things that happen. And I always say every obstacle is an opportunity. And we came out against UTSA and we were sleepwalking. I mean, I was embarrassed. I mean, it was low energy. It was not who we should be. And, we went into that locker room at halftime. I told them, I said, I've been with you for 10 months. This is the first time I can say I'm embarrassed to be your coach. And I said, we're going to get this fixed. And I was pretty adamant about some things about, how we're going to approach this game and our energy and those kind of things. And I made sure that the trainer had the paddles ready to go in case they had to resuscitate because I got pretty emotional and I got, after them pretty good.
Yeah.
And they responded. And a number of the players said afterwards, like, it bothered them that I was disappointed in them. I think that's pretty powerful. When your players are upset because you're disappointed in them. And then, we played Tulsa this past weekend. And we don't get in from the 3-yard line on 5 plays. And then we let them drive the ball 97 yards to score, 14-point swing going into halftime. Yeah. Different situation. And I got them in there. I'm like, listen, look, give me your eyes. Take a deep breath. Relax. Let's go fight these guys the second half. We're going to be okay. We're all going to be okay. So I think that's the art form of being a head coach, is understanding the moment. And that moment at UTSA at halftime, that changed us from that point forward because we've not played that low energy thing anymore. We've always come out with great energy and better discipline and all those kind of things because of a conversation we had at halftime at UTSA. So that's why I love this sport so much, because it's the ultimate team sport. The X's and O's are important, but the culture is important. Seizing those moments, either in the locker room or at practice or on the sideline, those moments. I mean, I love that art form that this is. So again, it's worked for me, and I'm gonna keep on doing it.
Speaking here with Casey Keeler, the head coach of the Temple Owls, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. You can tell me if I'm completely wrong about this, but when I think of Temple over all these years and covering this team and in coverage of the American and even before the American for Temple, when I think of the Temple Owls, I picture a movie. I picture, like that gym that's got the natural light coming in, little dust on the ground, little scratches on the door and whatnot. I see kind of this. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be, selling on the, $1 million this, $1 million that, and this is what the jerseys look like. I've always seen Temple as kind of that like comeback story, that rise out of the ashes. It's just a different place. It's gritty. And like I said, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I think of like the movie Coach Carter in a way, because I think about like we're putting this team together and you may not believe in me right now. You may not believe in yourselves, but we're going to make something out of us. And we might be this one nook or one cranny in this country, but we're going to really put a stamp on this thing. And I know you're in Philadelphia, but at the same time, there's like this small town come up story and just this grittiness to it. And like I said, that's what I feel when I think of Temple.
Well, Temple tough is a real thing. I mean, Temple is tough. I mean, and there's a hardness to us. At the same time, like one of the first things I did, Dan, is I met with every player individually. It took me 4.5 days. And I thought it was just so powerful how much these kids love coming to this institution. They love it. Guys didn't want to go in the portal. It was like, I want to get this fixed. I'm not going to run away from this. I'm gonna help get this fixed. I want to be part of the legacy that gets this fixed. So, and then we've recruited at a very high level. I think our recruiting class is ranked 75th right now. I mean, in terms of committed players, and it's second in our league and third in all G6, which is pretty impressive considering that we have nothing to. We're banking on what they did in the past, nothing that we've done ourselves. But it's a great story. You get kids on campus, they love it. You get them with our players, they love it. You get them in Philly, they've never seen Philly this way. So, but there is this special, like, we're at a unique place. This is like no other place. I mean, we got Rocky Balboa. We got, fans throwing snowballs at Santa Claus. We got the Phillies who want to fire their coach after they've won the pennant 2 years in a row. But they win the World Series. But that's what they are. I equate it to this. When I was at Delaware, we won the national championship in 2003. We opened with New Hampshire. Chip Kelly's the offensive coordinator. they're doing stuff like I'm asking the referees, can they do that stuff? I mean, it's brand new, it's very funky, and we have a great game. We knock their quarterback out 10 plays into the game. Backup comes in, goes 10 for 11. We lose by a field goal in front of one of the biggest crowds in the history of Delaware Stadium. Just won 15-1, just won a national championship. They boo us off the field. And I remember being in that locker room with my team and said, this is who we are. You know, because we're basically, you know, a suburb of Philly, you know, Delaware is, and has a lot of Philadelphia-based sort of mentality, and that's just who we are. You know, they're happy when you win, but when you lose, you make their day sad. They don't want to be sad. So just like, don't take that personally. Take that with a sense of like, you know what, they care. They really care. And that's what I'm finding here. You know, it's the same thing. I mean, the alums, you know, just really care about getting this back on track. And that's what we're trying to do.
Sustainability is an important thing. And like I said, we've seen Temple have positive moments and then the coach moves on, negative moments and the coach is let go. How does Temple become a place of not only positivity, but sustainability?
Yeah, I think one of the key things for me is that my goal, like, is, you know, finish my career here. And then I want to be part of this. Like I want to stay involved as a senior analyst or whatever I may be, because like I don't want this thing to do that. I want this thing. I want part of my legacy to be that I got Temple back on track, and it just continued to get even better when I left. So I think part of it's, you know, putting together a staff that is sustainable. That when I do eventually walk away, I have some people that are guys that you could hire to be in that position. Because I thought about that. I thought about, like, I don't want when you know, I love what I do and I don't foresee a time where I'm not going to be doing this. But you don't live forever. And at some point, you know, my wife's going to say, okay, let's, you know, spend some more time at the beach. And I get that. But when I leave, I want to leave something behind. And what I want to leave behind is the sustainability, where Casey Keeler moves on, they just move right into that next season. And so I think that's going to be putting together, you know, a great building in terms of our recruiting department and our GM and our chief of staff and all, and then the coaches, and then, you know, having the right person there that when I move on, we have somebody who could step in and be that guy.
Well, and you mentioned the general manager role. Some schools have really embraced it. It still feels new to some places. Where is Temple on the importance of the football general manager?
Yes, I was one of the first people to have one. I had one at Sam Houston. In fact, my administration wasn't happy that I made him my general manager. Like, well, that's a new term. It's like, yeah, but we need someone that is looking at all the different parts of NIL, the transfer portal, just the general running of the team, you know, stuff that I can't get caught up in. And you know, I hired a young guy, Clayton Barnes, at Sam Houston, phenomenal, put together our roster at Sam, comes in here, lives with me. I mean, the odd couple. You know, I'm 66, he's 30, and we lived in Center City for about 5 months together. We got a 2-bedroom. And, you know, because my wife was still transitioning from Texas and then down to the beach while we're getting this house built. And, you know, we spent every waking hour just talking about putting this whole thing together. And he's brilliant. And I don't know if I would have taken the job if he wouldn't have come with me, because I know the importance of that position. And I know all the moving parts. And I know, like, when our season's over, we're going to be sitting down with our players going over what their contracts are going to look like. Yes, contracts. That's the way this world works now.
Yeah.
And so you're going to be talking to them about, and then also we're like projecting, okay, what we can pay everybody and what do we need to go out and get. And our mentality is retain your players. That is our mentality. You got some good players, and we do retain those players. So it's a whole strategy, you know, and figuring out, okay, who we're going to pay what and how we're going to do all this. So it's amazing how NFL-ish this has gotten from some standpoints, but it's still relationship built in college football, in my opinion. And so that's where, you know, having these relationships with the players. And if you do have those relationships, sometimes you'll get that hometown discount because they're like, you know what, I know what I have here. at Temple. I like what I have here at Temple.
Yeah.
Why go chance it? And there's so many cautionary tales of guys who were in great situations and went places, and they had 60 catches at one place and they had 2 catches at the next place. Sometimes you don't fit into that offense. Sometimes you don't fit into that culture. If you know you have something really good, try to make that work, and that's going to be kind of our mindset.
Well, and before I let you go, Casey, when we do look at how things have been, you talk about the G6, people say G6, P4. When we're looking at the 10 conferences, the group of 6, and then the power, the autonomy group, essentially the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, and the Big 10, they seem to not necessarily have to look for a quarterback as much. Well, the upper echelon of those conferences, they don't seem like they have to recruit one as much as they have to find one in the portal. And so many times, and I tell people this all the time, and I've said it for the entire time the American's been around for the most part, is the statement of, if the American Conference isn't good, why every year does the Power 4, Power 5 back then come after the coaches, the student athletes, and sometimes the entire institution? It seems like they watch people grow within this conference and say, I like that coach, I like that quarterback, I like that corner, I like that defensive tackle. So how do you not be simply a farm system for the power conferences in this new market?
It's such a great question, and you're right. The American is amazing. You look at the coaches in this conference, the players in this conference, and there's a reason why the Power 4 are all looking at us saying, okay, who can we steal? And I think, for us to retain players, it's going to be a combination of culture and a combination of education. It's like, okay, this is the culture, so they don't want to leave this culture because they really like what we're doing. The other thing is, okay, let's educate you. You know that actually the NFL will tell you, if you're an NFL caliber player, you have a better chance of getting in the league by staying where you're at than transferring. That's just statistics. And we can show them all those statistics. And so I think it's just a part of like them feeling comfortable and then us educating them. This is what is out there. These are the risks that you're taking. So yeah, it's tough because what we have found, and you I'm sure have heard this over and over again, there's so many voices in these kids' ears.
Yeah.
It's like, just keep those voices out. If you can develop some trust with us, we'll give you some honest information, and then you can take that information and kind of figure it out. But for a lot of people in their ears about stuff that doesn't make any sense at all, like guys coming in saying, well, I heard I get another year of eligibility. That doesn't work that way. You don't get another year of eligibility. Again, I think the world we live in, a lot of voices in those guys' ears, and that's a shame because a lot of those voices really don't know the proper path forward to help these young men be successful. And again, that's probably one of the biggest problems we have in this football environment right now.
Relationships versus transactional. So
yep, 100%.
Before I let you go, Casey, I like to do this thing called rapid fire. Coaches never get to ask questions, so I'm going to change that up for you. We can talk about football or we could talk about anything. You get to ask the first question. What do you got?
Yeah, so your favorite meal. You can tell a lot about a guy who, loves to eat.
Yeah, my favorite meal. Man, I probably got to put together something from, okay, I'm going to put something on the plate for my mom, my dad, and my grandmas, because my grandmas have passed. So my grandma's stuffed shells on my mom's side. So G-Mama's stuffed shells, Gammy's chicken soup, my mom's turkey rolled, and my dad's steak on the grill.
That's awesome.
My question back to you, if Temple was going to get an NIL deal for Casey Keeler, what restaurant would it be at, and what meal would be the Keeler?
Oh, geez. I don't know if it's wise for me to signal one place in Philly but it would be I like my fruit de mate.
Okay.
It's so funny when I got to Texas and I told the kids this. I used to do something with them. I'd say, okay, we have death row right here. Like we were like I could see death row from my office at Sam Houston. And so let's say like we're on death row and you're gonna have your last meal. What are you gonna get? And then I would say like I'm gonna order fruit de mate. And they're like, what's fruit de mate? Well, it's all the mussels and clams and shrimp and those kind of things and pasta in a red sauce. And
Yep.
I love carrot cake. God, I love me some carrot cake. So I have a little piece of carrot cake on the side there, but and a nice, nice garden salad to start off with. But yeah, so I've done the death row meal with my players for 11 years at Sam Houston, and they thought it was crazy, but we used to have a lot of fun, just laugh about it.
I remember now that you said it again that we talked about fruit de mare when we were in
Yeah,
Charlotte
yeah,
together, and I love it too. What's your next question?
yeah. So hobbies.
Oh,
What is this a hobby or is this something that like my hobby is football.
yeah,
My job is football. It's like, and that's one of the things my wife said to me one day. She said, you kind of lost your hobbies. You used to fish off the dock all the time. You used to go play golf on those 27 holes we have around the house. That's when we lived in Texas. We lived on a golf course. And I said, yeah, we're doing more because my job is required
yeah.
that you really don't get a lot of time away from football. So like, what's your go-to?
Well, my work is my play. To answer your question back, I will be 22 years a broadcaster in the beginning of November, and starting my own company over 13 years ago is one of God's greatest gifts that He's ever given me. Was to build something literally out of the air in front of us.
Yeah.
So I would say, man, my hobbies. I mean, I love what I do and I do what I love, but I have been singing and doing comedy my whole life, and so I'd probably say writing some songs, singing, finally learning how to play my guitar that's in my studio, and I would honestly, I just like taking rides, and more than anything else, it's like you speak for a living, so what do you love to do? I love being at home. I'm looking at her off camera because she's with me. I literally love just being with my dog, and I don't
Yeah.
care what I do with her. I just love because she's my kid. I mean, that's my daughter. She's my ride or die, and so yeah, I think when it comes to her, anything, it doesn't matter.
Yep. Well, we had lost our heart dog about 3 years ago, three and a half years
sorry.
ago, Georgia Rose. And like you talk about the ultimate dog. And so my wife and I have now been talking about, 3.5 years later, are we ready
Yeah,
to bring another one into our family? And we want to for a number of reasons. We want to rescue one, but at the same time, we know how painful it was losing our girl. So yeah, I can relate to the dog big time.
well, God bless Georgia Rose. I'm sure she was
Yep.
very much loved and continues to be.
Yes.
My question back to you, Casey, I'm going to ask you to be a screenwriter because I dabble in, because that's something that's in my world as well that I'm trying to work on more. If you were to create a screenplay for you and I, it's going to take place in Philadelphia. I need to know what genre of movie it is. You have to give yourself a job and give me a job, and then what's like the shtick of it? Like why should people go see it? So what job do we have? We can't have the jobs we have right now, but we're in Philadelphia. What's the story? Who are we? Why is it important?
All right. So it's a comedy.
It's a comedy, okay?
Yep. And what we're going to do is we're witness protection program. We're going to run a witness protection program. Okay. And the stories are all the crazy crap these guys do, like in the witness protection program. It's like, you're in the witness protection program. You can't be selling cars on TV in the witness protection program,
Yeah.
So that would just be all these comical like situations. I would be your boss, obviously, and I'd be sending you out, and you'd be coming back like, can you believe this one? You believe this guy? Like the mafia's looking for him,
Yeah.
and he's doing this. What's he doing? So yeah.
Well, that was probably the best answer I've ever received of that type of question. And being an Italian Hispanic, I definitely would be going out there going like, the mafia just came out like recently in reports about the NBA, right? So like they're still here. So yeah, that would be good. I don't think there's a better way to end. So with that being said, Casey Keeler, go out and support your Temple Owls. Casey, like I said, your reputation preceded you, and it was positive. I sat down with you, it was positive, and I know that our relationship will continue to grow from here, but I just want to thank you, and I respect you, and
you're really one of the people that I hope I get to talk to more often than I don't.
All right, Dan. Appreciate you, man. Great seeing you.
All right, take care. Have a good day. And now a message from Myers Creek Brewing Company, with locations at their Cazenovia Farm Brewery, Syracuse Inner Harbor Tap Room, and soon-to-be Lake Placid Tap Room.
Well, I think first and foremost, the Feldmeyer family and our team are extremely passionate about what we do. We care very much about what we do. The Feldmeyer family is always investing. Our taproom management team, our brew management team, our marketing management team, and all of the team members that get after it every day, they leave it on the field. They put their heart and soul into it. I know for a fact that everyone that works at Myers Creek wants to be there, and we want them to be there. You know, we want them to feel good about their job. And again, if you've never been to a Myers Creek, especially to the brewery, I mean, I want your eyes to open really big. I want you to see how big of a brand this is. I want you to see where we're going. The sky is the limit, and I feel very proud of that, and I'm very excited about that. When you think of designing a menu for a brewery, it's kind of open to a lot of different interpretations. I mean, you can do American, you can do Asian, you can do Italian, and you just have to find, you know, how that meets that pub style dining experience, that gastropub vibe. And I think it's super fun for us because obviously we know that, you know, everyone in the world's going to sell a pizza or a burger or a french fry, but what can we do to be different? And what can we do to be true to who we are? We are a brewery, you know, a brew pub. So the flavor profiles are kind of all over the place. And I think it's super cool that we have a massive smoker at the brewery in Cazenovia, and we smoke a lot of our products. A delicious smoked turkey. We have barbecue ribs on Sundays. From a pulled pork sandwich to a chicken wing, you go to the Inner Harbor and you go to the Kaz location and you'll find similarities in the menu, but also things that are a little different and also kind of fit those different demographics or different communities, and also hopefully just drive you to try every tap room that we have open at some point because you get a little something different at each one. You know, we understand how hard it is to, you know, work every day and get after it every day, and when you're done at the end of your day, you want to go out and put your feet up in a good ambiance and good environment. So we take pride in that. We make sure that everyone knows that they're very much valued to us.
This is Jim Dispenza, owner of Game Point Sports Complex. You hear the same story across any sport that kids play and any sport that adults play. There's never enough places to play. That was definitely true with volleyball, definitely true with basketball. It could be cheerleading, it could be field hockey, which is what we're seeing now. Every sport has a lack of places to play, and I think Syracuse in particular is a place where it's really bad, despite the fact that we've got a lot of athletic talent around here. We just seem to have not enough places for people to play, and they're going to different places. They're going to Rochester, they're going to, Buffalo. They're going all different places because we don't have a place here, and I felt like that should change. This was a long project from planning all the way through execution to opening the doors. A lot of work went into it, obviously a lot of money, a lot of resources, and the dream always was kids being in the gym, having a good time. And I've always felt like sports is the most unfiltered joy that you can observe with people, that people can experience, because it is fun, it is a sense of accomplishment, it's all of that wrapped into one thing. And so watching kids going up and down the court with big smiles on their faces has been just amazing experience. I'm looking forward to years to come of that same thing. We've taken the time to invest in multiple sports, and then what we're finding is the mere fact that we have a large, clean, well-lit space has opened a lot more doors for us beyond basketball, volleyball, pickleball. Now we're having some interest from cheerleading. We've got girls field hockey coming in, and then also there's quite a bit of room for spectators. We've got bleachers, we've got benches, we've got a concession lounge where people can get food and drinks. We're going to have multiple sports going at the same time, using every square inch of this place for what it was conceived for, which is basically people to come in, have a good time in the sport that they prefer. We manage each situation differently. Everybody has different ability to afford different things. Some are bringing 10, 15 people, some are just 2 people. I've had a lot of situations where it's a father shooting around with his son, it's a mother playing pickleball with her daughter or with her son, and in those situations come up and we work with people, and that's allowed us to have groups from 2 people up to 30 people and have some flexible pricing behind it. We're an organization that is here to work with the community any way we can, and I guess part of it is just making sure that we have the flexibility to put together a plan that makes sense regardless of the size of your group. So in order to book time, the best option is to go to our website, gamepointsports-syr.com. You can click from there and sign up for events, sign up for your own particular training, sign up for birthday parties, all of that.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City, coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open for sales and service Monday through Saturday. And you can get a sneak peek of all their inventory by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. As promised, talking about the college football playoff, and I had the opportunity of speaking on this coming right off of the actual committee's unveiling of the top 25. They released their first rankings of this season, and that coming on Tuesday, November 4th. Of course, those of you that are watching and listening live, it is Wednesday, November 5th. So last night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the College Football Playoff Committee unveiled who they have and where in the top 25 rankings for the 2025-26 season in college football. And I went right to the airwaves last night and spoke about the College Football Playoff, unveiled to you everyone that they had ranked going from 25 to 1. And then I put up my side-by-side of my rankings versus the rankings of the College Football Playoff. You can see that we are very, very close on a lot of things. So I have Indiana 1, they have Indiana 2, and then I have Ohio State 2, they have Ohio State 1. We both have Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss 3 through 6, and then they have BYU and Texas Tech of the Big 12, the top two teams of the Big 12 that are playing each other this week. They had them just above Oregon. I have Oregon just above these two. So 7 through 9, we have the same teams, but I value Oregon a little bit more than they had valued them. And so essentially it was they put the two Big 12 over Oregon. I put Oregon over the two teams at the top of the Big 12. But we have those same three teams, 7 through 9. And then looking at 10, I have Texas. I think Texas is the best two-loss team in the country. And they beat Vanderbilt, or else I probably would have said it was Vanderbilt. Both teams are 7-2. I don't believe Notre Dame's a top 10 team. I've gone over this multiple times. Their only win over a top 25 is USC. USC doesn't have any quality wins this season. USC really hasn't had a good season. I put them in my top 25 because toward the bottom of it, I was running out of teams of who do I put up here. And so, slim pickings, USC got 23 to me. They got 19 in the college football playoff. I think this is just a ballooned, once again, Big Ten assist, right? If you're inside of the Big Ten, you get a little bit more love. I don't know if USC would get this love if they were still in the Pac-12. And with the season that they've had, they really don't have anything to write home about. So I have Texas there. They have Notre Dame. Then I have Vanderbilt at 11. They have Vanderbilt at 16. And they have Texas at 11. I have Texas at 10. So we're both putting Texas. I'm putting them in the top 10. They're putting them just outside. And then they have Oklahoma behind Texas, which I do, but I believe Vanderbilt is a step above Oklahoma, and that'll probably shake itself out. We both have Oklahoma at 12, though, and then they have Utah above the ACC, Virginia and Louisville. Same thing as when we're looking at that 7 through 9. I have Virginia, Louisville, Utah. They have Utah, Virginia, Louisville. So we have Virginia over Louisville. Obviously, Virginia beat them head-to-head. They think Utah is valued a little bit higher in the Big 12 over the ACC, where I have the two ACC schools above them. The ACC has 5 or 6 schools right now with a few games to go vying for the opportunity to play in the ACC championship game. How many conferences have that many teams fighting toward the end that have no losses or one loss in the conference? So I think that the ACC should be given a little more credit, which is why I put them above Utah, but we have the same 3 from 13 to 15. And then I have Notre Dame at 16. They have Vanderbilt at 16. So I essentially talked about this last night. They have Notre Dame 10, Vanderbilt 16. I have Vanderbilt 11, Notre Dame 16. So it's almost like we flipped those two schools. And then we both have Georgia Tech at 17. I have Memphis at 18. We talk about the highest ranked school that's not inside of the autonomy group of the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC. And the committee, which confused me, and I think confused others, is they didn't rank any of the schools in the American, the MAC, of all the schools outside of the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC, and Notre Dame, which is independent. They didn't rank anyone in the American, Sun Belt, MAC, Conference USA, Mountain West. None of those conferences were represented here. If you're going to represent any of them, in my opinion, this year, it would be the American, and it would be Memphis. Memphis is 8-1. They've only lost to South Florida. South Florida started off the season playing 3 ranked teams. Obviously, those teams aren't as good anymore, so the wins don't hold as much weight. But you have 1 loss for Memphis. They were the first team in the country to get to 6 wins and be undefeated and be bowl eligible. So I have Memphis at 18. They don't have Memphis at all. I have Miami at 19. They have Miami at 18. So, again, very close. They have USC at 19. I have them at 23. And I can argue that all day. USC's schedule is not impressive. And then I have Cincinnati at 20. They have Iowa at 20, which I could see. I have Iowa at 22. And then at 21, I have SMU, my only 3-loss team. Their 3-loss team, Tennessee, they have at 25. They put Michigan at 21. Again, Michigan has no quality wins, no ranked wins. If they beat Ohio State at the end of the season, then that would mean something with having them in these rankings, obviously, if they win out and beat Ohio State. But as of right now, Michigan has no place in the top 25, in my opinion. I have Iowa at 22. They have Missouri. Again, Missouri, very underwhelming schedule in the SEC. Does not have the quality wins, does not have a marquee anything, so I'm not putting Missouri in my top 25. USC, like I said, is my 23. Washington is 23 for the college football playoff rankings. I don't have Washington in my rankings. No quality wins. No wins against ranked teams that have stayed ranked. So I don't see their place here. And then I have North Texas at 24, who's 8-1, who just defeated an undefeated Navy team. They have Pittsburgh at 24. I have Pittsburgh at 25. And then they have Tennessee at 25. So you could see that the committee and I are right there, almost exact. And if there's any change between the two, you can see that it's okay. I have Oregon, like I said, I have Oregon above the top two teams of the Big 12. They have them below the top two teams of the Big 12, but we have the same teams 7 through 9. So it's just that I have Oregon a hair above BYU and Texas Tech, where they have them a hair below. And then the same thing happened with Utah, Virginia, and Louisville. I have the teams in the ACC, Virginia and Louisville, above Utah. Virginia 8-1, Louisville 7-1, Utah 7-2. They have Utah just a step above Virginia and Louisville, but 13 through 15 is the same. So it's just where they're valuing the Big 12, where they're valuing the ACC. But the only really stark difference between my poll and the College Football Playoff Committee is where they put Notre Dame, which I would love an explanation on that. And I know they talked about it a little bit last night because I was on the teleconference. So I'd love to have them explain themselves on how Notre Dame has 2 quality losses, which are not wins, and almost beating a team is not a win. In that case, many teams would have would have cases of we almost beat all these people. So, Notre Dame, this is the thing. Notre Dame gets the they looked good against this team argument. They looked good. Did they win? They looked good. Okay. Anybody looks good at the bar in the middle of the night when you're drunk and the lights are off. So, they looked good. That's not a good enough argument. They looked good against Texas A&M. They only lost by 1. They looked good against Miami. They only lost by 3. Did they beat them? If you're a top 10 team in the college football playoff rankings, you better have beaten one of those teams, not looked good against them. Texas has not always looked good, but they have gotten some marquee victories, including over Vanderbilt most recently and Oklahoma. So Texas could be the reason why Oklahoma doesn't make the college football playoff. So that is a stark difference. And then when we get from 20 to 25, this is where the committee and I put some teams in that they didn't. They put some in that I didn't. And I break it all down in the college football playoff reaction discussion video, and you can also get it on audio, and those are available on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. We'll share it there in our story as well so that you don't miss a second of breaking it down even more when I go schedule to schedule and talk team by team. Who did they play? Who did they beat? Who was ranked? Who wasn't ranked? Who should have been ranked? Who shouldn't have been ranked? What are those quad 1s, quad 2, quad 3, and so on, victories or losses? So there's a full breakdown of the college football playoff and me assessing what the committee did, as well as giving you the reasoning on why I have the teams where I have them. That is all airing now in our special college football playoff bonus broadcast of Wake Up Call that happened last night, less than an hour after the committee gave out their first rankings of the 2025-26 season. With that being said, we're going to end this video and end this audio feed, start a new one, and that feed will be focused on fantasy football. What's coming up for week 10 of the NFL season right after this, inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Stay with us.